What I love about SBA financing is, let's look at this differently. Let's look at him buying a $2 million business, and he needed to come up with 10% of total project cost, which is $200,000. Well, he only has $175,000. So how do we solve this equation? How much do I qualify for my SBA loan? Because I want to buy the biggest business as possible. Anyways, a lot of people want to know, how much do I qualify for SBA financing? I want to go out and do a business acquisition. How much do I qualify for? And I always say it depends. One is the business needs to be able to debt service the new SBA loan. Number two is you need an equity injection of up to 10% of the total project cost. So what does that mean? So if you buy $1 million business, let's just say total project cost is $1 million, you need 100 grand. And so you also, if you listen to many banks, they're going to say we also want to see post-close liquidity. So post-close liquidity is leftover liquidity after you put your deposit or your down payment or your equity injection. So some banks would say we like to see 10% post-close liquidity. So on a $1 million loan, they want to see 100 grand in reserves after you put down your equity injection. Now, not all banks are that stringent. They use prudent lending, so it makes sense. So I was going back and forth on a conversation earlier today, and he really was honing in on what he can qualify for. He had a line of credit of $175,000. He had a couple grand in his bank account. He has a decent sized retirement account, which he can't touch right now. So if he moved his 175 grand in and he bought $1 million business, right? He needs $100,000 equity injection, and then he's got 75 grand left as reserves, which would be fine. And so there's no like set in stone mark on how much in reserves. Most of the banks will tell you they want to see like close to 10% post-close liquidity, but that's not a set in stone rule. I see deals closed with very low reserves. Depends if you're building in working capital, depends on the strength of the deal, the strength of the borrower. And so he's like, well, I want to know what I qualify for. So if you just use basic math, he's going to buy somewhere around $1 million, $1.2 million business, right? If assuming a cash flow. But really, what I love about SBA financing is, let's look at this differently. Let's look at him buying a $2 million business, and he needed to come up with 10% of total project cost, which is $200,000. Well, he only has $175,000. So how do we solve this equation? Okay, well, maybe we can get the seller to carry back 5% on full standby. That's the 100 grand. So now we have to come in with 100,000. Well, maybe you bring in an investor partner that comes in with 100 grand and they own 19% of the business. Now you came in with nothing and you have your reserves, right? And deal done. Assuming that you fit the other qualifying characteristics in the business does. So the point is you don't pre-qual like you pre-qual on a home purchase. It's different. So I think that's important for you to know. But in rule of thumb, if you want to use rules of thumbs, then 10% post-close liquidity. If you have that, it's usually you're golden on that side. Now, if you have very low reserves, it doesn't mean you're not going to get the deal done. So we're not going to send out a pre-qualification letter saying, David Jones is approved for a loan amount of $3 million, because remember, it's really based on that business cash flow. We can get the seller to carry back some of our or hold back their equity, which is called on full standby. And in theory, they can carry back that full 10% on full standby. But most banks want to see at least 2.5% in. So you can get them to carry back 7.5%. And so on that $1 million deal, you're only coming in with 25 grand. And that could be gift funds. But at the end of the day, it all has to make sense. Like the story has to jive, and you got to get an underwriter to believe that you're going to run this business and it's going to be successful once you take it over. If you're looking to acquire a business, stop scrolling on Biz Buy Sell and visit franchiseresellelistings.com. We'll do a customized search. You can get on our weekly distribution where we're sending new inventory weekly to your inbox. So visit franchiseresalelistings.com and opt in today. See you there. So at the end of the day, I hope I gave you kind of like the lay of the land about how much do I qualify for. Now, if you don't have a pot to pee in and you're trying to buy a $5 million business and you don't have good borrowing characteristics, that's going to be tough, right? You got good credit, you got some other income coming in, you have good characteristics, you're buying a solid business, then you can be creative with the numbers, but just use the benchmarks that you need 10%, unless you can get the seller to carry a portion of that on full standby. You can bring in investor partners in for some of the equity injection. And so then you can piece it together. And then they usually want to see a few months of reserves. Maybe not 10% post-close liquidity, but some reserves. So hope that helps. I know I was rambling on, but I wanted to talk about this because I think it's very important, because a lot of people are like, well, how much do I qualify for? Really, the sky's the limit. You can make things happen. You can bring in partners. You can do partial buyouts and leave the owner in for a certain percentage. You can be extremely creative. So think about the way to be creative, the way to present the deal. And most of these deals do have some component of seller financing. It's more typical in business world than in real estate to get seller financing. So anyway, hope that helped. See you on the next episode. Hey guys, Beau Eckstein here. If you enjoyed what you saw, please subscribe to this channel. We talk all things financing. I've been in the lending industry for over 20 years, and I'm happy to answer your questions and provide great content.